Hey guys, it's Handy Jeff, and today, well, we have a leaking toilet that we're gonna fix. And this particular toilet is leaking through the floor. So if you flush your toilet and you have water come out, then, well, this is the video for you. Well, there's a telltale sign that this thing's been leaking for a while. Just look at the damage on the floor and just how rusted that cast iron is. We're hoping that all we have to do is replace a gasket like the wax ring, but we might have to go a little bit more in depth today. So for right now, this is what I've got, and this is the tools that you would need to change a wax gasket on your toilet. We have a new wax ring. Get the one with the horn. Got new bolts. I always replace the bolts. I have some channel locks, a putty knife. This is a shop vac. And then I also have a supply line around here someplace, and a flashlight, of course. Found the supply line. Anytime I take a toilet off and unhook it, I always replace the supply line and the bolts, because you never know if they're gonna come off again, or if the supply line's going to leak. But let's go look at the subject toilet. All right, here is said subject toilet. So first step, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna shut the water off. There we go. Then we're gonna go ahead and we are going to flush this. Now, a good way to tell if your toilet wax gasket is bad is if when you flush it, both there's gonna be water on the floor in the basement, and you might see a little bit trickle out from underneath the toilet itself. So let's watch the toilet here, see if we get anything coming out of the bottom of it, which with this house, we may not. Let's go check the basement. All right, we found a leak, and it looks like it's coming from the flange seal, not the wax gasket. So that means we're gonna break this video into two different videos. I'm still gonna show you how to replace your wax gasket on your toilet. It's just gonna have a different flange than when I pull the one off, so just so you're aware. All right, regardless, the first thing you gotta do is unscrew your supply line. There will be a little bit of water that comes out, that's okay. All right, so we still have water in the bowl, which means we need to remove said water. So just so you know, this shop vac has seen better days and sucked a lot of concrete dust up, so it's extremely loud. If you're listening on headphones, like, mute the volume. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. Okay, that's long enough. Here we go. All right, now that we've got that water out, we are free to take the toilet off. So as you can tell here, these people filled our bolt cap covers with putty, even though there's the bottom part of a bolt cap cover there. But we remove a bolt cap cover, and then you take your channel locks and unscrew our nut on our bolt here. Sometimes they come off like this, sometimes you need to actually use channel locks the entire way. Now lather, rinse, repeat to the other side. All right, what I am going to do is I am going to grab a hold of this bolt. The other one came off super easy, so we just want to grab the bolt, keep it from spinning, and maybe it's not going to work. There we go. I just wanted to try to do it this way, just because you guys, the camera, are sitting in the spot where I normally would go, and I would use both of my pliers like this. Alright, turns out that was a struggle bus and I wasn't able to get it in that position. So we're just going to go ahead and rock this thing like I would normally do it. It's loosened enough that I can get my pliers underneath it. If you can't, just grab it on top. Try not to let the bolt spin anymore, just because we want to be able to take this nut off super easy. Alright, new win. That was one of the most difficult I've dealt with in a minute. So the next step, we're clearing an area on the floor because we're going to just pick the toilet up and set it right there. So then when you're ready, lift with your back, not with your legs. She'll come right off. Wowzer. Okay. Yep, that flange definitely needs replaced. In case you ever wanted to know what a wax ring looks like after it's been used and abused, that's what it looks like. This is what our flange looks like. You can clearly see clear down in there, and it should not be like that. You can also see why it was rocking back and forth. That all came off with the flange. So check it out. We just got to get our bolts lined up. So we'll have one bolt here, one bolt there, and then we just shove this bad boy down in there, which I might need 2 hands to do. This is a lifesaver if you're not ready to replace your entire stack, or you don't want to spend that kind of money yet, because man, that could get expensive real fast. Alright, now that we've got our flange in place, we might have to adjust just a hair, just so we've got our bolts so that we'll be able to face straight. It looks like we'll be okay there. Now we just have to screw this flange down. That gasket creates a seal, so now we just got to find some good wood to be able to screw it to, which, if your flange has been leaking for a long time, may or may not be a challenge. Alright, as we can see, she's sitting in there pretty. So now, if you came here because of how to replace your wax ring, well, this is exactly how you replace it. Your flange would have been okay, then you just have to take your wax ring, set it down in there, and replace your bolts. I like to use these quick bolts because they're pretty amazing. You just slide them down in there and they're held up pretty well. I'm going to zip this in just a hair further. Alright, so now wax gasket goes on, bolts are on. Do you know what the next step is? If you said set the toilet, you're wrong. We still got to worry about our supply line. It's much easier to get into this tiny little space when you change it out without the toilet in there. In order to replace your supply line, come in here with a pair of channel locks. It unscrews, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. If it's super tight, make sure you hold this nipple from being able to move. This one's going to come off pretty easy because I checked it earlier. And all we got to do is unscrew it. There will be some water in here though, just like that. Now we take some paper towels, soak this bad boy up. We don't want water sitting on the floor. You can tell that this has previously been water damaged and we do not want to add to it. So go ahead and clean up your area. And then what we're going to do is put our new supply line on just like this. Exact same thing we just did. We're going to come in here with a pair of channel locks and tighten this. Once again, I am going to tighten this to a point where I have to hold on some backup here just so we don't bend any pipe that's any place. Voila, new supply line, new wax gasket, new bolts. Let's clean all this debris up, then get ready to set the toilet. Once you have got your area cleaned up, try to set your bolts so that you're semi-straight, because you're essentially going to pick up your toilet and set it on there. Now you can roll the toilet over, push the wax ring on there, It's so much more work, and I promise you not a single professional that I have ever worked with does it that way. Just try to line up the holes. I believe in you. You can do this. Once again, pick things up and set them down. Once you have your bolts lined up like this, notice how the toilet's leaning? Sit on the toilet and wiggle back and forth to create a good seal. You should be wiggling back and forth and have it just move a tiny, tiny bit. As you can tell, that is sitting much better. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up because I just swept over to here. So let's do that. All right, now we're on to the fun part, which is installing all of the bolts now. Now, bolt cap cover, washer, and then the actual nut. Go ahead and screw it down, and then bring in your channel locks. Go ahead and tighten it up. Once again, I apologize for this view just because I'm right-handed. This bathroom is tiny. I don't have much space. So thank you for working with me here. Then, once you get it fairly tight, you don't want to risk cracking the porcelain, but you want it to be tight enough that it ain't gonna go nowhere. Then we go ahead and go to the other side. Do the same thing. Nothing is worse than a wiggly toilet. So we're gonna go ahead and keep tightening down until our toilet doesn't move. All right, the next step then is to install our supply line. I am going to do a nice little rotation here and go ahead and screw it in. Then while we're down here, we're going to go ahead and connect our bolt cap covers. Snap right on, like so. Go ahead, do the same thing to the other side. Perfect. Now, let's crank this baby on. All right, and now we wait for this to fill up, and then we're gonna flush it a few times and run down into the basement just to make sure it's not still leaking. All right, guys, I'm rebuilding this toilet, putting a new handle and flapper on, which I just put the flapper on. So this has been running for a while. Let's go check the basement to see if it's been leaking. But first, make sure you don't see any visible water from below the toilet. This is why you don't caulk your residential toilet installations, because you'd never know if it was leaking. Oh, hey guys, would you look at that? Not a leak in sight. You can see the new flange. It's just chilling inside that old cast iron. Looks like we're good to go on this one. I'm gonna finish rebuilding this toilet so I can get out of here and get some lunch. But hey, this has been Handy Jeff, and if you're interested in learning some self-sustainability, some DIY, or how to just fix stuff around your house, follow, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Thank you so much for watching.